Mm, all right. So one thing I come to find out about the internet is that there are a lot of ignorant people that spew their nonsense, and a lot of other ignorant people are too lazy to fact check, verify, look stuff up. And so what then starts to happen is you get a group of people that all believe in one thing and they're all easily being deceived. So it's basically the blind leading the blind. I don't like to call people stupid and dumb. I think those terms are overused too much. But I will say there are a lot of people, a lot of adults that are just non-critical thinkers. Non-critical thinkers, they lack experience. They haven't done much in their lives. They stay in their comfort zone. So their view of the world is very myopic. And so they will believe stuff that sounds good, but they don't have a good baseline or foundation to base their opinions off of. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So New York City just had their mayoral election. Zoran Mamdani got elected. There was a lot of hoopla, a lot of people saying they're going to leave. All this, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of that, especially if you're seeing this video on your suggestions. You clicked on some video on YouTube that talks about just New York City elections and just politics. But I'm just listening to it, and for me, even if I didn't go through some of the experiences that I went through, common sense will at least at some point hit me and just say, okay, what he's saying just it's too good to be true. And I think a lot of people forget that part. Things are too good to be true. And that's kind of like just the litmus test for me, where it's like, if someone's saying they're going to keep giving you, I understand in this world there are limitations. You can't have it all. Some people really want to believe that you can have it all. You just can't. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't freaking spend $1 million, or let me try to be realistic. You can't go to school and do an extra load of like 19 credit hours and at the same time be raising a family of 4 children effectively. It just doesn't work. It doesn't happen. There's limitations to everything. So anyways, I'm just going through some of these TikTok videos, and it's just interesting to hear how people talk with such conviction, and you can tell that they don't know. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're really ignorant on a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to money, finances, real estate, just stuff like that. Like, everyone starts somewhere. I'm not even, saying that I'm the end all be all. I know everything. However, I do know enough to not be looking like a fool. So I'm gonna play some video. I'm just gonna scroll down, click some videos, and just do some basic commentary. And I want you to let me know if you think originally. I know it's gonna be kind of biased. I mean, if you're hearing it, you're hearing my commentary. But tell me what you think about some of what these people are saying. And I would love to hear a good argument. I'd love to hear, hey, if you think I'm wrong, or if you think I'm seeing things in the wrong light, let me know. Like, let me know in the comment section. It'll be good to see, and then I can make a respond to it in a video, or in the comment section. I'll respond to it as well. But sometimes this just gets annoying, because you have adults that think this way, and there's a lot more adults thinking this way, and because they're in society, that means I have to deal with the repercussions along with them, and you do as well. So yeah, I'm gonna try. Let me do this. I don't know why this dude be in here. Sign language, but all right. This is the first. So this is this person. I'm gonna play this video, and I'm just gonna let him speak. And I think I could, yeah, just click on it and pause it or whatever, and you tell me what you think.
So watching the comments on my last 2 videos shows that you guys don't live in New York City and you don't rent an apartment in New York City. Because if you did, you would not be defending landlords. Mandani wants to freeze rent, which is good. But you guys are concerned about the landlords, what they're going to do. Oh, they're going to flee if their taxes. I could care less about landlords. If you live in New York City and you rent an apartment, these apartments ain't shit. They don't fix nothing. The ceilings are broken. They don't paint. They don't do nothing to these apartments. What they're charging for rent in New York City is not even worth what you're getting.
Okay, so this dude is talking about the condition. First, he says he doesn't care about landlords. So he just gave the giveaway. He's never been a landlord. And maybe some of you, feel the same way, like, oh, why should we care about landlords? Who's controlling the property that you live in? You should care. You should want quality landlords, but he and like so many others put all landlords in one boat and think, okay, well, this apartment is shitty. I don't like this. Maybe you don't have enough fucking money. Maybe you can't afford quality. And so because you can't afford quality, you think it's all like that. No, it's not. There's a lot of good apartments in New York City. I know people that live in New York City. They don't have these problems. So this is a him thing. He's broke. He don't make enough. And he can't think of how to better his situation. That's what it is. But he wants to shit on everyone. Now he's talking about landlords. He doesn't care about landlords. They can't fix stuff. It doesn't seem to hit his mind that maybe they can't fix stuff because their margins are not good enough, because there's already a cap on a lot of these houses. If you build new houses in New York, or really anywhere nowadays, you have to have a portion of those houses that need to be affordable housing. It has to be capped, so they're not making as much money as they can. This guy is talking about, I agree with the rent freezes. If someone is capping you on how much money you can make on every unit, it's not profitable to keep updating the unit. And that's what's going on in New York, where a lot of the apartment buildings are vacant because they can't make money on it because they're capped at how much they can actually charge. This is just econ 101. If the landlord or the owner doesn't have enough money to maintain the property because they're not bringing in enough money, they're actually in the red, why the hell would they invest in that property? Now, you're always going to have the slumlords. That's always going to be there. The market should kick them out, because people, if there was enough housing, if there wasn't so many restrictions, the market will say, okay, the people will be like, you know what? This landlord is not doing his job. There's other apartments. There's other options that I can go to, that I can live. That landlord is just going to get cheap rent, or it's going to be vacant to the point where it's better for that person, that landlord, to sell it. But he's not thinking like that. He's just thinking, oh, they're all just the same. And it's just like, this is why I say lack of critical thinking skills.
Nowhere near it. So you think New York City, people who live in New York City, really going to care about the landlords? You think we're really going to vote with them and say, oh, let's care about the landlords? No, they don't give a fuck about the tenants. I lived in New York City for 30 something years, and these apartments are horrible. And I visit my...
Once again, 30 years, it's the apartments that he's living in. Because I know people that live in New York, and they're not rich. They're doing just average, doing decently. And it's not like the apartment is some type of luxury apartment or whatever. It's a regular apartment. And I've done Airbnbs in a lot of New York apartments. So, hit or miss or whatever. But they're not all garbage. And the way he's talking about it makes it seem like they're just all terrible. But after 30 years, you mean to tell me you can't upgrade your life? He's exposing how he is.
The people that I live there, and they are in shambles. You think I care about what landlords are gonna do when the rent is frozen, when it's freeze, and their taxes are gonna... Bro, you think I care about all that shit? Bro, no New Yorker cares about landlords, bro. Go look at the apartments, bro. Them shits is trash. So,
yeah. Does this sound like a grown, critical thinking man that has his shit together, that's, about moving up and elevating? Look, Listen to the way he talks. He sounds defeated. Now, what's more interesting, man, I'm kind of blocking the, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to just make myself a little smaller. What's interesting is that I'm just looking at the comment section, and a lot of these people, one person, it was having a good back and forth with, so this is the creator. So he's going to be talking about, so this person said he has no control over non-rent control housing. No one did any research. This is partly true, but for the most part. He says he could freeze rent. We'll have to ask the governor and put the right board in place, and he can do it. So he's contradicting himself. Zoran, look at the title. Zoran Mamdani freezing rent. He can't freeze rent. He just admits that he can't do it. He has to talk to the governor. Let's actually do some research. This is what you're supposed to do. How do I want to do it? Let me do this. Let me do this. Hold on, yo. Hold on. Let's see. Can Zoran? Because I'm not sure. Can Zoran Mamdani freeze rent by himself? No. Zoran Mamdani, as an individual state assembly member, cannot freeze rents by himself. Here's how it works. Mamdani is a New York State Assembly member, so he can propose or sponsor legislation that would freeze rents or strengthen rent. Okay, let's just say as a mayor, because this is his title right now. He is going to be mayor. Does that change? Search the web, search the web. No. Even as Zoran Mamdani becomes mayor of New York City, he's set to take office. Okay. Oh, okay. It is January 1st. Here's why and what he can do. What changes because he's mayor. As mayor, Mamdani will have significant executive authority, appointing department heads. That's what he was doing. Setting budget priorities, directing city agencies. He will set the agenda for the city's housing policy, tenant protections, budget allocations for affordable housing. His campaign does include a promise for a rent freeze on rent stabilized units. It's not all units. Why he still can't unilaterally freeze all rent. Rent regulation in New York City is governed by both state law and city-state agencies. The New York State Division of Homes and Community Renewal for rent stabilized apartments. A blanket rent freeze typically requires state legislation or changes to the regulatory structure. A mayor alone cannot override state laws. Even within city authorities, certain protections may need the city council, regulatory boards, or state cooperation. So what will he likely be able to do? Use his mayoral authority to direct the city's housing agencies to propose or support rules that slow or pause rent increases. So he can make a suggestion to this board for units under this purview. Promote and possibly fund a freeze or rent reduction in rent for certain categories. This is city-owned housing, so Section 8 housing, or rent stabilized units, so specific certain units. People are talking as if he could just freeze the rent across the whole state or across the whole city. Nope. But that's how, hey, as a politician, he's trying to get elected, and it worked. as a policy initiative. Advocate that the state legislative pass broader reforms, extending rent control or temporarily freezing rent, and use this office platform to push it. So that's basically it. So let's go back to, I'm gonna go back to, damn, I just lost it. Here we go. Let's go back to this guy. Let's go back to this goofy guy. So he's talking about Zoran Mandami is going to freeze rent. I just showed it. It's not true. Do some research. It's not true. He even admits it here. He could freeze rent. He will have to ask the governor and put the right board in place or whatever. Okay, now he mentions it. So maybe this is just clickbait just to get people to click on his goofy video. So then he said. So then the person says, okay, whatever you say. Then look up Mayor De Blasio did it in 2010. I'm not gonna look it up. You can look it up, but no mayor can. Like, I guess he's saying the same thing, but De Blasio actually jacked up New York City as far as lack of rent, because they talked about it when they did their debate. You can do your research and look at that as well. I'm not going to do a whole breakdown unless you really want me to, but I'm just going off of what this guy's saying. So that was short. There was another one. Okay. No one is defending landlords. They just have common sense. The freezing of rents has been tried in St. Paul, Minnesota. This is true. This actually, so the Twin Cities, you got Minnesota, and you got Minneapolis, and then you got St. Paul. They both try to do the same thing. St. Paul, I hope I'm getting the cities right. They did. He's actually going to talk about it. It was a great case study that explains exactly what happens when you start to stop landlords from increasing rent, especially according to cost, according to inflation. So what Zoran is talking about, he's not even trying to allow these. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, that he doesn't even want them to match inflation. So it just doesn't make any sense. The landlord's just going to be losing money. So why would they invest in the why would they invest in the building? They can't make money off of it. So anyways, St. Paul isn't. So this is what this is a different person. St. Paul isn't New York City. Like, oh, okay, he doesn't have an argument. And this person is just sarcastic. Oh, boom, mind-blowing facts, bro. I didn't realize that. Thank you so much. This isn't St. Paul, and rent freezes have been in place since the 70s and have expanded since. And look at the state of how housing is so expensive in New York. There's less units in the market because it's becoming very difficult to make money off of renting units and property and stuff like that. When you have all these regulations, you gotta, like, people just think of it from the person that's always just going to be the renter or whatever. You need to have a symbiotic relationship with the renter and the person who's providing the housing. The government doesn't do a good job providing housing. It's really tax dollars. They don't have money. They have your money. They have the money that, hardworking people give to the city. And it's just like, to me, it's just whatever. That's one thing. But when they keep saying you can't raise the rent this much, oh, you have to have this amount of rent controlled housing where or units, you have to have a certain amount of units where you can't do this much, you can't build this much space. If you build this much space, then you have to allocate green space for this. And when they start messing with the market and how these businesses, these landlords, and a lot of times it's just regular people, when they start messing with their money flow, they're not going to invest in real estate like that. Or it's going to be for the ones that can really afford the high cost. That's just what's going to happen because you're messing up with the incentive structure. But anyways, so ignore the data and cite it's been done in the past so it works. This person comes back. There's no data against rent freezes. Yes, there is. The facts are the more money people have to pay in rent, less they have for other things. For other things being purchased means less profitable business. Less profitable businesses means fewer jobs. He's not including the freaking government and regulations and what messes up the whole. When the government gets involved in the market, that's when you start really having problems. It's just communism. there's a ton of data that says freezing rent is a bad idea. You're sharing secondary effects because you can't argue the data. Yeah, secondary. Again, no better example than St. Paul rents. I don't give two fucks about stuff. Okay, so this person, I'm just gonna stop. I read the whole thing. It's not that long, but this person he wants to be willfully ignorant. This is what you don't want to do. You don't want to be like this person. This person's just always going to be a victim, is always going to complain. He doesn't care to educate himself because now he's in his fucking feelings. He's in his feelings. He's not correct. He can't cite anything. And because someone is saying, hey, look, you want to look at this, he doesn't want it. He's freaking lazy. That's how a lot of people are. So there you go. Building was partially funded by the city and their tax bill is zero. Explain to me how this is bad and who paid for it. Again, because I guess you're not good at reading comprehension. St. Paul wasn't a study. It was real life. They froze rent. Then they had to reverse the policy because it came just the bad results. Again, that St. Paul, he still doesn't freaking get it. It doesn't matter if that's the whole point of a freaking case study. It's going to be a different place that has been tried. It's amazing. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you have a different opinion, but you're reading the same thing I'm reading. Like, even if you're not sure, that's like, why does he keep saying, oh, this is New York City? Anyways, and the data says it caused rent to go up and less housing options for all each time. How many apartment buildings did they build during the freeze? Zero, near zero, but Minneapolis had a huge spike in new buildings and lower rents. You call 101. Why would anyone invest money in something that has a negative real return? They don't have a negative return in New York City. They get tax breaks in exchange for lower rents. Some new construction even gets partially funded. Like you gotta ask yourself in real life, like, okay, if he's saying all this, why is there an issue with lack of units? Look at the people that are complaining. You really want to hear both sides, because it's like, okay, if everything is gravy and everything is peachy, people want to build more because they can stand to make a profit. If they're not building more, something is off. And when you look at it, is okay, it's the government that's in between it. That's what it is. But anyways, you can just read this. I'm just gonna do this video, but
ensuring that we're actually holding back.
So watching the comments on my last,
I don't want to hear him no more. This is what I see online. And once again, you don't have to know everything, but it's like, okay, what's the argument on this side? Okay, let me go to the other side, see what's going on. Okay, does this make sense? Does that? No. Okay, let me just pause and think. This is what a fool looks like. A big old fool. An old big fool with gray hair. An old fool is basically what they say. Just from the nonsense that he's making, it just doesn't make any sense. But you know what? When you don't try new stuff, when you don't have experience in certain industries, if you never own property, what is your baseline? You being on the bottom, so that's all he knows. That's all he can think about. That's all he's experienced. Being on the bottom, he doesn't understand top level stuff just by the way he's talking. I've been a landlord before. Shortly in Baltimore. I remember when I acquired an apartment, it was a 2-unit, upstairs and downstairs tenant. Rent was never increased. So this was like 2019, I think like 2017. The person was charging, I think it was like $500 or $600 in rent. Really cheap. He didn't do any updates. So when I came along, I'm like, all right, cool. I remodeled one of the units, increased the rent because it was just so cheap. There was no barrier to how much rent I can increase. I think I increased it to like $1,000, just like what's the market rate or whatever. And I told the upstairs tenant, one of them moved out. Told the upstairs tenant, she was like, all right, cool, no problem, understands or whatever, because she knows the rent is really low. Really cool with it. In a place where you're trying to have restricted rent, even if it was a rent control apartment, you can't do that. Even if someone moves out, a lot of these places just want to stop you from increasing the rent. And it's just like that. Okay, I'm gonna leave it vacant. That's what's been going on in New York City, where you got a lot of buildings that are vacant because they can't increase the rent a certain percentage. And it's just like, well, damn, what's the point? You're just gonna be throwing your money away. It's better just to keep it vacant, let the equity just build. Hopefully the building doesn't completely deteriorate or whatever so quickly, and hope for new politicians to come in. Like, it's a sucky position to be in. But regardless, what I'm saying is, you invest the money, especially as just a regular person, you invest the money to acquire a property. You have tenants. You want to be, for the most part, you want to be a good landlord as much as you can. Do as much as you can. You need to rent in order to invest back into the business, into the property, and then you do the best you can. Then you sell it, and then maybe someone else can do it. I ended up selling it. It was my first rental property. It was a great experience. I did a lot of the work, and it was just a good learning experience. That's why. So the whole point is, I learned from that. I understand the baseline of what landlords go through, making it seem like all landlords are bad. No, a lot of landlords are just older people that just have a property that they acquired years ago, and they're just trying to make some income as they get older. They're not relying on Social Security. Like, there's so many different nuances when it comes to landlord. But you got people like this fool that just, it's obvious that they never had that experience, so they talk the way they talk, and then it sounds good. It gets people emotional. It gets people riled up and like, yeah, these landlords, these apartments suck or whatever. He never stopped to think like, okay, why is it this way? Why is this apartment like this? Why versus this apartment? Why in some really expensive cities it's more affordable, or rents are actually going lower? Like Austin, I think is one, and then Minneapolis is the other one. Why are these places having lower rent? What are they doing different? Nope, it's just too much work. It's too much laziness. But it always starts with understanding, like when it comes to any type of information online, especially when it comes to politics, be honest about where's your baseline at. Like, what do you actually understand? What do you know? Go from there and figure out, okay, what makes sense. Like, you build off of that rather than just pulling out from the air and just listening to people. Because if you do that, then you can at least come with a really coherent argument, and you can kind of back up what you're saying. So then when you do come across people online that want to go back and forth, it's just like, okay, you can decipher, okay, is it going to be worth my time? Okay, I can at least put this out here. Someone else can pick it up and read it. They can be educated versus just spewing nonsense. It all starts with everything in life. Just starts with money, understanding how money flows, cash flow, how it works in your life. If you understand how to manage your money, you can start to understand really on a deeper level of how the city government, how they manage money, what makes sense, what are the incentives, where are they investing in. All that stuff is tied together. When you understand what you're going through, where your money is going through, this is why I always recommend get an audit. People get afraid about an audit. What is going to show up? What is going to reveal about your own self? Reveal about your own habits. You can't be afraid of it. Understand where your money goes, how you want to spend your money, what type of lifestyle you actually want to have, so that you can live the life that you desire to live. And that's what I do. That's what I focus on. Partly what I focus on is helping people understand where the cash flow goes. 3-month financial report. This is what I do. I enjoy it because it helps people understand, okay, where are they in life? Where do you want to be? What's your timeline? What's your time frame? Some people start with the 3-month. What do your finances look like in 3 months? You could do this yourself. I'm not saying you have to just go off of me, but I'm just saying when it comes to everything, when it comes to like the guy that was just talking, do you think that he knows where his finances go and how his money is invested and where his life energy that he puts on his dollars or whatever? You can tell he never owned any property, any real estate. Does this seem like a guy that's invested in the stock market before? I've noticed just from doing personal development, it seems to be a pattern. The people that are really good with personal development, really fulfilled, they are really in tune with their own money. They know where their money goes. They know where it wants to go. And then for that, it gives them options and freedom. So it's not just about the money. It's about understanding what are you doing in your life. Like, it's just a mirror of how your life has gone through all these years. So I think that's my recommendation to you. If not with me, do it for yourself. The years is almost coming to a close. next year always wants to be a better year. That's what we always want. What are you doing differently to get there? So anyways, I'm gonna end it here. If you have a disagreement or if you feel like I'm off somewhere, please make the argument. Not an emotional argument, a logical argument why it makes sense what that guy is saying. I want to hear it. I like to hear from different perspectives and different sides. Let me know. If you haven't already done so, you like where the content is going, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so that you get alerted when I do drop new videos. But I want to hear your perspective. I want to know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.